This is Inside the League with James Groh on the Global Sports Network. And it is a milestone number for us today. It is episode 10 on Inside the League, and we've got a great show coming up for you. To give you a little bit of preview, we got the Olympics, we got Tim Tebow's back in the news. Some big MLB stars have decided to retire, and they've made their notifications just this coming week, even today. We've got, of course, the Bay Area sports rundown and a little bit on the Little League World Series. The South Koreans' women archery, the women archers, basically the equivalent of the USA men's basketball team, won their 8th consecutive team gold. Since the inauguration of archery in the Olympics 28 years ago, the South Korean women's team has won every single gold since the inaugural event. And I was watching that gold medal matchup against the Russians, and I don't know much about archery. I can't really speak for archers. I don't know what goes on in their mind. I don't know what kind of preparation is involved. I'm not too sure about the fundamentals of archery. To me, it just seems like you're shooting a target that's the same distance, that's the same size every single time. The only variation is your own nerves and if there's a little bit of wind. That's not to say it's not hard. I'm just saying why I might not fully understand it. But watching it, the Koreans just look composed and they looked so technical. Compared to the Russians, it was as if the USA was playing China in a basketball game. The Koreans outclassed them in every step of the way, and it was just kind of fun to watch. Even though I don't really know what's going on, and I think that speaks for a greater aspect of the Olympics is that you can enjoy something that's going on even if you don't really know what's happening. But it was really cool to see them do so well. They opened up the final round of their match shooting 6 arrows all in the bullseye, so they got the max 60 points that they were able to get, and it was just kind of incredible to see something like that happen while the Russians were struggling to get a 9 or an 8, and you saw a couple of 6s and 7s in the mix. When I first started watching, the Koreans went up, and I thought, oh, archery is easy, and then I saw the Russians, who got the silver medal ultimately, and who are, I guess, second best in the world, and they couldn't do what these Koreans were doing. So big kudos to the South Korean women's archery team. And Tim Tebow has decided he wants to pursue an MLB career. So he will have a tryout with 30 MLB teams next month. He's going to have 30 scouts come, and whoever of those teams wants to, they can check it out. He's been working out with former Major League catcher Chad Moeller, and Chad has said on record, he's got what it takes, but it might be hard. Athletes try to play 2 sports, but it's not easy to do so. Brody Van Wegenen, the co-head of CAA Baseball, said, "This may sound like a publicity stunt, but nothing could be further from the truth. I have seen Tim's workouts, and people inside and outside the industry, scouts, executives, players, and fans, will be impressed by his talent. As an agent, I have a genuine respect for how hard it is to succeed at the game of baseball and a true admiration for those who possess the talent to play it at the major league level. Tim's tool set is real." So good words to praise the former NFL quarterback for the Denver Broncos. But I think it's a little bit far-fetched. You saw how he did in the NFL, and he was only able to amass, 3 seasons, 2 with the Broncos, 1 with the Jets, never held a starting role that well. Sure, he's got great leadership capabilities, an amazing work ethic. I don't think anybody's ever going to question that about Tim Tebow, because that's kind of the trademarks of Tim Tebow. That's really why, teams were interested in him in the first place, along with, the publicity that went around with Tebow Mania. But I don't really know if he has any reason to make it in the MLB. He hasn't played baseball since junior high and a little bit in high school. But, That's not going to translate at all. How did he get this idea is what I really want to know. What possessed him to decide, I couldn't become an NFL player, I couldn't become a professional football player, a sport which I've been playing for the past, 4 consecutive years at an incredibly high level. I won a Heisman Trophy, 2 national championships. Well, if I couldn't become a professional in that sport where I was one of the best in college, let me become a professional in a sport I haven't played in, 8 years. I don't really know where that's coming from. So it would be interesting to, pick his brain and understand really, why is he trying to become an MLB player. But it'd be interesting to see, how he does. It's been done before. Michael Jordan tried to do it unsuccessfully. Was only flirted with some minor league teams, and that was about it. But 2 hugely famous athletes have done it recently. That's Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders. Bo Jackson, he played football and baseball. He played for 4 seasons for the Raiders, and he played about 9 years in the MLB. Bo Jackson was actually the first player to ever be named to an all-star team in both the NFL and MLB, and not just that, he's the first athlete to be named an all-star in 2 professional sports. And then Deion Sanders, he played for the Braves and the Falcons. Now there was other baseball teams, but primarily it was the Braves. And he was pretty successful actually in both sports. He had incredible longevity. He played 12 years in the MLB and surprisingly 16 years in the NFL. You thought maybe those numbers would have been switched around for the order in which he did them. He played in the 1992 World Series with the Braves, and then he actually has 2 Super Bowl rings, one with the Cowboys and then one with the 49ers. So that's pretty cool. I'll give Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson, the nod to say, hey, they did that. They were able to play 2 sports, but at the same time, they were already incredible athletes. They were stars coming out of college, and then they were stars as soon as they got into the league. Not the same for Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was a star in college. He had question marks all around his name as soon as he entered the NFL, and those question marks were answered. It turned out, he's really not NFL caliber. Speaking of Red Sox, one person on Periscope mentioned it, David Ortiz. This is his swan song. But to give you a little recap on his career, he's played in 20 seasons so far. He's batting .280. He has a career batting average of .285, 1,728 RBIs, 528 home runs, and 2,416 hits. He's got 10 All-Star games, 213 World Series MVPs, and 6 Silver Sluggers. So that's a pretty good, pretty good resume. Alex Rodriguez. After a disappointing season where he's been coming off the bench primarily, where, he's struggling to, even be a DH, has lost essentially the third baseman's job. He has decided that he's going to retire after this Friday against the Tampa Bay Rays will be his last game. And then afterwards, he's going to assume kind of a mentor or apprenticeship role in the Yankees organization. So he's not done with baseball, just he's going to play a different part of the Yankees organization. Finally, just kind of something funny that I saw about other baseball players retiring was Grant Balfour is going to be retiring. He's a reliever. He pitched for the Oakland Athletics for a couple of years, and I just think he's got one of the greatest names for a pitcher in the world. Grant Balfour. Balfour is his name. Literally, Balfour. I just think that's an amazing pitcher's name. The only better pitcher's name would be like Grant Strike 3 or something. It's something you would only think is as of a joke, but it's actually real. Grant Balfour, he's also retiring. He said that in mid-May. This is Inside the League with James Groh on the Global Sports Network.